Alright, welcome to part 1 of our Ogre guide here. We're going to be going over the typical skill set, how to level this hero, what the actual skills do, and some of the items that you can purchase on this hero to improve what he does and his skill set. So let's talk first about what makes Ogre such a good roaming support or an in-lane support right now. And this are his low cooldown and low mana skill sets that he has. Also, one of his most powerful skills, Bloodlust here, we'll go over as a second skill, and it really buffs up your right click cores, either your mid laner or your safe lane carry. You can really buff them up, but I think in all of our circumstances here, you're going to want to go ahead and get the second skill first, so let's go over that. This is called your Ignite, and what this does is puts a basically fire chemical on the enemy or enemy creeps, and it slows and burns for a duration. So you can see here it goes from a 5, 6, 7, and 8 second duration, and then also increases in burn damage during that duration. So not only does it burn them over time, it also slows for that duration, so you can either A, chase after them, or use it as an escape or positioning tool for your teammates. So the damage that this does is equal to 130 at level 1, level 2 is 204, level 3 is 294, and then at our 4th level is 400 damage. So you can see how much damage that does, along with a few right clicks, for a very low 90 mana cost. It's incredibly efficient. You can throw this out very many times. Makes Ogre a highly spammable hero, which is great for early game, whether you're zoning an offlaner or you're harassing maybe a mid, or you can even take him in the offlane with another another offlaner. It's very good in a duel situation. Ogre is an intelligence support, so has great int gain, but is also one of the highest strength gain for a intelligence hero, which makes him very, very tanky. As you can see, level 5, just sitting here, we're already at 900 HP with no items. So he's not one of those squishy supports that has trouble, surviving in the early game to mid game. He, as we're going to see in the replays, he very rarely dies, and this is important because you're not feeding experience or gold to the enemy carries. If there's a tricky Slark or a high damage carry running around, you're not going to be picked off as a CM or one of the other squishier supports. Very survivable. Some of the cons that Ogre has is that he's very level dependent, so if you're not getting levels, you're going to find that you kind of trail off in the mid to late game. So you have to keep getting levels, you have to keep finding experience where you can, whether it's through kills or getting an open lane once in a while. And then the other con I would say for Ogre is he has very low mobility, so he's one of the few intelligence heroes that are melee range. So you're going to find that he has trouble escaping and getting into position very easily. You're going to have to kind of build his skill set and his items around it. So let's get into what you should have for the second skill, and that is his Bloodlust. Not saying this is what you have to build. This is what high level players are doing right now in their both pubs and in their tournament replays. So what does this do? This is Bloodlust. This is an ability you can cast on yourself, on your teammates, or even on a most recent change onto towers to buff them up as well. What it does is gives bonus move speed of 10, 12, 14, and 18%, and then also bonus attack speed of 30, 40, 50, and 60. So just to give you a very, very low mana cost and high duration, it's one of the few skills that has a duration longer than the cooldown. So this can essentially be up 100% of the time on the core of your choosing. So what does this exactly do? So at level 1, it gives you a bonus attack speed of 30. Let's try to compare that to something. What is that really doing? So let's look at the Glove of Haste, attack speed of plus 20. That's not bad, right? So it's almost there. Let's get into kind of the bigger items here and see what it really does. We have the AC, which is popular for its armor, but also gives a very nice attack speed buff with the Hyperstone that it is included. So let's look at the Hyperstone. Plus 55 turns into a plus 35 attack speed. Hey, that's, you know, level 1 hero already. So we're essentially giving the attack speed of an AC to a hero when we're level 2. Crazy to think about. If you have, which is being run right now in very popular lineups, are drow lineups, where if you put 30 attack speed on, or let's say we're at level like 3 or 4 when the drow hits level 6, if you're putting 40 to 50 attack speed on a drow who at 5 to 6 minutes in the game is hitting for 140, 150 damage, you can imagine how powerful this skill set is to buff up this hero. So in all the replays that we're going to watch today, the main 2 skills that are being focused are these being upgraded. You go back and forth between these, maxing Ignite for the high damage output. We're going to get, basically I would recommend this right here, so a 2-1, and then we'll go back for his 3rd skill, which is Fire Blast. Now this has a 1.5 second stun duration, and that's capped at all levels, so that's why this is kind of being leveled up last right now. It doesn't have much room for improvement. As you can see, the mana cost increases, unlike Ignite, and one of its other downsides is that the damage doesn't increase as appetizing as the Ignite does. So as we mentioned in Ignite, you can kind of compare these. Fire Blast does 55, 110, 165, 220 for a mana cost of 75, 85, 95, and 105. So at level 4, it's doing less damage and costing more mana than Ignite. Also only stunning for 1.5, and while Ignite has a slow duration of 8 seconds at this point. I would recommend getting one of these though, however, because you do want to possibly stop TPs, or have, you know, some sort of stun duration is always a little bit helpful, whether it's a channeled spell or a TP, something that you're going to want to grab. So we're going to go ahead and grab one of that, and then we're going to go and max the other 2. Now this is also debatable whether you want to grab your ultimate at level 6. I wouldn't recommend it in most games. I think having these 2 skill sets are far more powerful, but we're going to maybe grab both these levels at 10 and 11 when you can get them back to back. So what does this do? It has a couple different things. This is basically a passive that enables and buffs up your other 3 skills. So for Fire Blast, it has a cooldown decreased, range increased, and mana cost increased. Ignite, it hits enemies in an area, and its range is increased. And then Bloodlust, it has a cooldown reduction and can be cast on random nearby allies when used. So it's kind of a very huge random factor. And then you can see the times durations. You have a chance to do a multicast on these as well, and you can read the percentages there. It's going to take a little bit more studying on your time as well. I would recommend going over this and finding out exactly what this hero does. So let's take a look at now the skills, and we're going to grab one level of this so you can kind of see as well. The range on our Fire Blast, or our Ignite here, we're going to throw this out here, and you can see it kind of drenches the enemies in this duration. They have the damage being taken and the slow, and then we're going to go ahead and use our stun here. Pretty typical. You can see the animation, so players can kind of see when it's coming, and then we're going to go ahead and use the Bloodlust on ourselves as well and kind of see what that does. So we're running around a bit faster, we're hitting for higher attack speed, as you can tell here, and the duration lasts for a very long time. So whether we're pushing or you know, your core is farming, very useful skill. So his skill set is very, very simple. It's not a hard hero to learn. I recommend it to almost all my friends who are starting out new and you know, trying to play the support role. It's a very tanky hero, so if you're playing on it, you're not going to die a lot, hopefully, and you have a higher chance of surviving. So see, there's the multicast there. It got spread on different units in an area. Very helpful late game when you're in team fights. You can maybe get it on a majority of the enemies, stuff like that. So we've gone over the skills here now. Let's go over what are your typical items that you're going to buy on Ogre.